DecoArt Thrift Flip Textile Paint in Racing Red for fabric. I did one project with this. It was a cosplay, doing very fine detail work, and it worked out pretty well. Let's look at some of the specifications. This specific one is 2 fluid ounces, 59 milliliters, Racing Red Rouge Course. They say upcycling fabric paint, DTFP 104 from the DecoArt company. Some information says will not crack, peel, or harden. Colors remain bright and vibrant after washing. Water-based. Made in the USA with globally sourced materials. Directions: pre-wash fabric without softener. Place cardboard between fabric layers so it doesn't seep through. Allowed to dry 48 to 72 hours. No heat is required to set it. Wash inside out on gentle cycle and dry on low heat. I used this paint on a cosplay project. It was a lot of fine detail with a brush that was probably too large, but I did make a template to make it work pretty well. It's going to really depend on your brush to see how it works. When you're going to use this paint, you'll probably use less paint than you would expect. I just put it into a plastic cup, used a little bit at a time with a small brush, painted on what I needed to do. It depends on your project, but in my case, very fine detail work with a template. Worked out pretty well. It doesn't bleed on the sides too much, but there is some consideration with the liquidiness of this paint. You just have to be a little bit careful with that. But in general, the vibrancy of this paint will really depend on your base fabric. In my case, I had a green, so I got kind of a tint to that. I think it looks fine, but definitely if you want the brightest red, you're going to use it on a white fabric or something like that. In my case, with the green, it worked out just fine. I'm happy with the result. But yeah, it's not going to be as bright as you might expect for a racing red. I didn't notice much of a smell with this paint, but it was slightly noticeable in a relatively enclosed room when I was painting. I tried to not use too much paint, and that's definitely a good thing to avoid any type of smell coming from it as you're using it. But in general, it seems pretty pleasant to use. The paint seems to have a nice amount of working time to it. I did use a small amount of paint, so it dried relatively quickly in the plastic container. I had some water on the side to clean the brush as needed. I really only needed to clean the brush twice or so through that whole entire graphic that I painted out with the template. So that's really not too bad. I don't have much experience at all doing painting like this, so keep that in mind. I have no way to compare it to other options, but at the very least, it worked for my use case. The specific brush I was using was a Artist Loft Tribeca Bright Brilliant number 6. I think I would have preferred to use a smaller brush for my specific use case, but I did make it work, and just having some water on hand to clean the brush off is good. Anyways, hope you enjoyed the video on this DecoArt Thrift Flip Textile Paint in Racing Red. Scott of Cosplay Bonsai. See ya.